Third comedian of the night. Everybody put your hands together and make some noise for TJ Hughes.
Thank you guys, thank you. I appreciate everybody coming out. It is packed in here. This is great. So first of all, I just want to get this out of the way. I am mentally disabled, so if you're making fun of my shirt, it's a hate crime. I know I look like a punk rock bumblebee. You don't have to say it. I get it. So I had a mental breakdown the other day, and I couldn't decide if I wanted to kill myself or move back to Ohio. And honestly, I don't know which one is more indicative of a problem with my mental health. My official diagnosis is major depressive disorder, but technically, because I got it while I was in the Navy, it's lieutenant commander depressive disorder. The Navy doesn't have majors. So a couple years ago, I had a breakdown, and I was Googling how much of my medication would be a lethal overdose. And it's funny because when you Google how to tie a noose or best place to shoot yourself, Google won't tell you. Google just gives you the suicide prevention line. That's all it does. But if you Google how much bupropion is a lethal overdose, Google's like, 9 grams, hope that helps. So once I realized I had enough medication on hand to die 3 times, my roommates walked in. And they were like, hey, what you doing, bud? So I told them. And they told me that I needed to call the suicide prevention line. And I do want to stop for a second and say that if you are feeling down, depressed, and hopeless, the suicide prevention line is 988. It is that simple. And you should call it and get some help. But I called, I got some help. And I talked to a very nice lady who told me that I needed to go to the hospital. But because I'm a veteran, I had to go to the VA hospital up in Wilmington, Delaware. Now let me tell you that when you are feeling suicidal, an hour-and-a-half drive to Wilmington, Delaware doesn't help. So, I have my friends drive me. So they drive me there, they drop me off, I get in, I check in, I give them my name, they give me a COVID test, they take all my stuff, they give me the gown and the grippy socks. The grippy socks are great, by the way. The grippy socks are worth it. So, they put me on suicide watch, and then, like a couple minutes later, one of the nurses walks in and they're like, hey, so you tested positive for COVID, so we're gonna have to quarantine you. So now I'm on quarantine and suicide watch. And they're coming in and checking on me and like seeing how I'm doing and stuff while I'm on suicide watch. And then eventually somebody comes in and he's like, so we can't send you to a facility to get help because you have COVID. So we're gonna have to send you home. And I was like, okay, so I got dropped off here. I'm gonna have to call for a ride. And they said, yeah, sure, we'll bring you your stuff. So they brought me my belongings, which included, but was not limited to, my pants, my phone, and my pocket knife. And then they stopped watching me. Just stopped watching me. I feel the need to tell you I didn't kill myself in the beginning. I didn't do that. But could you imagine if I had? Like, what would they do? What would they, like, walk in and just be like, oh, not again. Cause of death, complications caused by COVID. So I did eventually quarantine for a week and a half, and I got my negative COVID test, and I got into a mental hospital, where, by the way, they took my shoelaces, so I couldn't kill myself with my shoelaces. And I have been, this was 2 years ago, I've been too depressed to put my shoelaces back in, so I'm rocking slip-ons right now. So, while I was in the hospital, there was this one doctor that we all kind of made fun of because she was kind of a joke. Like, they have a list of questions that they're supposed to ask you, and one of them is, the last one is, are you still feeling like you want to hurt yourself? And this one guy goes in, and she asks him, do you still feel like you want to hurt yourself? And he said yes, and she said, okay, see you tomorrow. That was it. That was her response, and then he left. So then I get in there, and I'm explaining my problems, and explaining my issues, and why I'm there. And she says, you know, you need to keep your mind clean the way that you keep your toilet clean. When you go to the bathroom, you don't just leave it sit there. You flush it. You flush away the refuse, right? So you flush it away. So what you need to do is you need to flush away your negative thoughts. Just flush them away. And I said, well, what if my brain doesn't have a toilet? What if my brain has a porta potty? And every time I go to make a new negative thought, I can still smell the negative thoughts from 3 months ago. What do I do then? And she said, okay, see you tomorrow. That's what I got. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. You've been great.